patient's journey is a testament to resilience, a story of strength, healing, and hope. We go beyond treatment to redefine what compassionate care truly means. That's Tanner Health. That's care redefined. Learn more at tanner.org.
Oak Mountain Academy specializes in a customized designed academic approach tailored to meet the needs of our families. Our lower division prepares students with the necessary foundation to build excellence. Our middle division provides students with over 15 course offerings, providing them with opportunities to explore their talents and gifts. Our upper division provides personalized academic journeys, allowing them to achieve their dreams. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us, where every path leads to purpose.
National headlines and the local stories you care about. WLBB, Carrollton, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.
Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Wright, your host. Delighted to have you with us this morning, and thank you for listening. Thank you to our sponsors, Tanner Health and Oak Mountain Academy. We're pleased to have back in studio for the annual visit, with the exception of, I think it was COVID. There was 1 year we skipped.
Right. Yeah.
Duane Hack, who's president of West Georgia Right to Life, and Brooke Robyck, project coordinator at Georgia Right to Life. And good morning.
Good morning.
Lady and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes.
Welcome. We gather at this time every year. That sounds a little sad, but to hear from Duane Hack and the annual Stand for Life at the McIntosh Plaza, where Wally World is. So if you could review what's on plan, I think it's for this Saturday.
Super. Hey, again, thanks for the opportunity to let Brooke and I come in and talk with you this morning. This will be our 21st annual Stand for Life. This year we'll be doing it the same place we've done it the last several years. It's on Highway 27 South, and we typically form a line from Stripling Chapel all the way up. Last year was Verizon. Last year we had over 200 people show up. It was an election year, which always is a good turnout for us as well. But last year, plus we had some representatives from Australia with us last year. They had heard about us, and they came down and did interviews in line and had a drone, so it was an exciting time. For something that was unfortunately a bad situation with the pro-life movement. But we're excited about people coming out. We've sent invitations out to several churches. So if you are a pastor or you work at one of the churches, please feel free to get a hold of us. You can go to West Georgia Right to Life on the internet. You can also give me a call as well. I'd be glad to give you my phone number, 470-370-2452. And again, this is our 21st annual. We're excited about it. We're expecting a good turnout, and the weather looks good.
What have you seen over the years in terms of motorists that go by? You get, honks and thumbs up, or do you get, the other digital?
Yeah, the other, apples and oranges thrown at us.
Yeah.
No, overall, Steve, we're in West Georgia, and West Georgia leans more conservative as well, so it's always been pretty positive for us. There are some incidents where people, stop by and say stuff or say something out the window. But, I always, in our presentations we give the churches, several years ago, we had an individual who came up after the Stand for Life. And as we were cleaning up, Karen and I, my wife, were standing there putting stuff together, and I could see him out of my eyes coming up that hill towards where the gas station's at. And he came around the corner and came towards us, and he asked my wife, who's running this organization? And she says, oh, he is. I said, oh, great, there's my wingman.
Help.
Yeah, help. But he came up, and he started talking to us, and then I looked in his eyes, and I could see tears starting to just envelop his eyes. I said, dude, you okay? You want to pray? And he left a story that said, I was in a church and I was a church member and we were Christians growing up and something happened and, we made a mistake and my wife got pregnant and we went to Atlanta and had an abortion. And he says, to this day, this has been 5, 6, 7 years ago now. He said, to this day, I still wonder what that boy would have been like playing ball with me and going fishing and doing stuff and watching him grow and taking him to school and stuff like that. So it was on his heart so heavy. And then he reached in his pocket and he pulled out a wad of bills and just said, hey, do with this what you want to. Turned around and left. So you just don't ever know the people who you affect, standing there that have either gone through an abortion or know someone's been through an abortion. You just don't know.
Well, the numbers are high.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we've had minimum 60 plus million, but many more than that.
Sure.
And we hear that in churches, 25% of the women have had abortion or directly related to that situation. I mean, by now, since '73, the numbers are extraordinary.
Yeah, 65 million, and I always use that visual, in the churches that I go to make presentations to envision what 65 million is. We hear 35 million or $35 trillion in debt in the United States. So what is 65 million? And I said, vision in your mind, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Tennessee, I already said that. You go over to South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, West Virginia, and almost 3/4 of Virginia. And take that whole swath in your mind and say, that's 65 million. That's not even 65 million. It's a little bit shy of that.
America wouldn't have a negative birth rate or such a limited birth rate. Probably up at 450 million population by now.
Yeah,
so it's significant.
Yeah, it is. It is very significant. And you talked about the numbers too. 65 million since 73. So you figure the population of America, 320 million. So divide that by 2. Yeah. That's 160 females. And then you do the math backwards and go from there. Since 65 million abortions since then, and you do the math and go backwards, and that's 1 out of every 4 females in America today have either had an abortion, know of somebody who had an abortion, or within their family circle and sphere of influence are somehow touching somebody who's had an abortion.
Yeah, it's very widespread.
It's huge.
Yeah. Well, Brooke, you're a project coordinator at Georgia Right to Life. I understand that you just came off a 2-day summit late last week. So what was the takeaway from that?
Yeah, well, it was an amazing event. It was our inaugural All of Life Summit at Georgia Right to Life. We hosted it down at the Cobb Energy Center close to Truist Park in Atlanta. But we had some amazing speakers at our event. We actually had a woman, her name was Lauren Eden, who survived an abortion attempt. Her mom was trying to have an abortion later in the 2nd trimester of her pregnancy, and this Lauren survived that. So that was an incredible speech. We also were able to hear from Paul Vaughn, who was actually one of the pro-life activists who was pardoned under President Trump. And really, I think the main takeaway that we all had was just, like Duane was saying, the impact that we can have on other individuals when we stand up for life, and just hearing just these stories of God's redemption of individuals and how he works through them was very, very impactful. So,
a lot of people from the region, or even from the country, or what?
So mostly just people throughout the state of Georgia. Obviously, most of them live close to Atlanta, but we had people down from Macon area. They came up to the conference and around the state. So.
What's the mood? Are you optimistic, positive? I mean, and we're going to talk more about the Life Act or the Heartbeat Bill, and what's the Dobbs, and what's the overall mood of pro-life movement?
The overall mood of the pro-life movement. I mean, I think it can vary, Steve. I would say after this All of Life Summit, us at Georgia Right to Life, we're optimistic, but really we're ready to continue the fight. Because abortions are still happening in the state of Georgia, and we'll talk about that later. It's still around 30,000 abortions a year that happen in our state, and those are just the reported numbers that we know of. So we're continuing the fight. We're not backing down. We want to protect every single innocent human life. So,
all right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more with Duane Hack, president of West Georgia Right to Life, and Brooke Robyck, project coordinator at Georgia Right to Life, after these words.
Imagine a place where every heartbeat is monitored with the utmost care, where emergencies are met with swift attention, and where cutting-edge technology enables precise and timely treatments. At Tanner Health, every patient's journey is a testament to resilience, a story of strength, healing, and hope. We go beyond treatment to redefine what compassionate care truly means. That's Tanner Health. That's care redefined. Learn more at tanner.org.
Oak Mountain Academy is a vibrant community built on innovation, academic excellence, and a 64-year legacy of shaping community leaders. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school at Oak Mountain Academy, inviting you to visit the mountain and experience firsthand the passion, purpose, and personalized education that defines our school. Come see how our mission and vision come to life each day. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us so that you can discover your journey on the mountain, where every path leads to purpose.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Reddick, your host. Delighted to have you with us. Duane Hack, president of West Georgia Right to Life. Brooke Robyck, project coordinator at Georgia Right to Life. Of course, we're talking about the annual Stand for Life. We always bring Duane in to talk about it. My guess, and it's just a guess, is the average person out there would think since the Life Act and Heartbeat Bill, which I think was 2019, something like that, that pretty much there are no abortions in Georgia anymore. Is that true or false there, Mr. Hack?
It's so far from the truth.
Okay, what is
so
the
far
truth?
from the truth. So, and there's a couple different schools of thought on how you obtain the numbers. You know, one is through the Department of Health, which doesn't fulfill all of the numbers. You've got the Guttmacher Institute, which is really a pro-choice organization, but puts out deep dive data. So you can look at it from a different ways. But I pulled up the Guttmacher numbers yesterday.
And just to be clear, they've been associated with Planned Parenthood since the late 60s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, yeah.
They came about really when Planned Parenthood was starting to
Yeah.
evolve and bubble up. So, and they are the marketing source. When you go to their website, it's Guttmacher, Guttmacher, and they really do a deep drill down, really get into the weeds as far as numbers go, and even got graphs and charts. But
So if they're skewed in a pro-abortion fashion.
Right.
I would think so. That's
Yes.
correct. Which,
Okay.
which kind of, when you look at the numbers from what they report, so they said in 2023 there was 1,037,800 abortions.
Nationwide.
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 Yeah, we're talking nationwide. In 2024, 1,057,057. So they're showing an increase nationwide of about 16,000, which is 1.4%. Now, you go back and look at the Heartbeat Bill. In 2019, that came out. But in 2023, it was an entirety number, and that's what these numbers were from Guttmacher. It was temporarily blocked for about 2 weeks in September of 2024, for about 2 weeks. But what they're showing in the state of Georgia for 2024 is 35,880 abortions that were reported through all their studies, through all their phone calls, through their links with...
Last year.
For last year, in 2024. In 2023, it was 31,800. So they're showing an increase on all of their informational sheets of 4,000 abortions, which is like 11% increase over 2024 versus 2023. And so you have to say to yourself, I'm a numbers guy, and I kind of go in deep. Where's this numbers coming from? Where is these increases coming from? And it's amazing when you look at all the states that surround Georgia have abortion bans. Okay, to some level of degree, nothing like Georgia's. And I got to looking at the numbers. I said, okay, where does this increase show? And according to the Guttmacher Institute, again, who we already spoke about, there's 5 different states that border Georgia. And so with us having the 6-week ban, anything after 6 weeks you cannot have it, all these bordering states are coming to Georgia to have their abortions. Alabama, 3,370. Florida, 210. South Carolina, 1,536. Tennessee, 850 have come to Georgia to have their abortions. So according to the numbers of the other states involved as well, there's 7,300 more abortions from out neighboring states that are coming to Georgia. So you take places like Phoenix City. You take places that coming from Alabama. You've got North Georgia coming from South Carolina. That's showing some of these increases.
Because we still have
that we're
clinics in Georgia, correct?
Yes, we still have 13 open legal abortion clinics in the state of
Okay.
Georgia. Yes.
So, you know, a lot of people, I was at a church this past Sunday before, and people were saying, well, we're not having as many abortions now because of the Heartbeat Bill, right? And I had to say,
Well, it seemed a logical question.
Yeah, that's what they said, and that's what you read in the media and, all this social stuff is that, abortions are down. Well, they're not really down. And again, some people report specificity in some of their numbers and some don't. Guttmacher seems to have been a close numbers to exactly where the actuals are at.
So, but now Department of Public Health shows a little bit different, correct?
They do. They show
Yes.
a decrease.
Yes, and the difference might be is Guttmacher they're including women who've traveled from out of state who aren't residents of Georgia having abortions in the state, while the Georgia Department of Public Health just categorizes residents of the state of Georgia
That's correct.
who are having abortions.
Yeah, and what kind of decrease does Department of Public Health show
So in
without the out-of-state abortions?
So in 2023, the Department of Public Health recorded 30,856 abortions on Georgia residents. And then 2024, they recorded 28,147. So it's around that 30,000 mark. And really since 2019, 2024, abortion numbers from the Department of Public Health in Georgia have stayed consistently at that 30,000 range. There hasn't been any dramatic decrease of 20,000 less abortions or 50% decrease.
At the very most,
hasn't
something
happened.
like 10%. You know,
Potentially, yeah.
potentially. Okay, now here's the thing, the kicker in all this, so to speak, is chemical abortions now are prevalent,
Yes.
but we really, in the numbers been thrown out, is 63% of all
Nationwide.
abortions nationwide. Right? So we don't have any real numbers on that, do we? Or do we?
Well, so we do if those abortion pills are distributed through an abortion clinic or a hospital or a medical provider. But the reality is that women are also going to websites like Aid Access or Plan C Pills, those are just two that are out there, and ordering abortion pills online many times without even speaking to a medical professional, and those abortion pills are being shipped to their homes, and they're taking those, and there's even a thing called advanced provision where women will order more abortion pills than they will need. They might not even be pregnant just in case they want to use them in the future. So those abortions are very hard to track. We don't know exactly how many of those are happening. There's only one study that I know of where the Journal of American Medical Association recorded how many requests were received from Aid Access, which is one of those websites, the 2 months after Roe v. Wade was overturned. But those are the only... that's the only study I know that's actually tried to categorize or catalog how many of those abortions are happening. And we call those DIY, chemical pill abortions, because women are doing those, in their homes by themselves most of the time.
And one piece of information I found concerning chemical abortion was, and I'm not sure if it was Department of Health or Guttmacher, but they said that 83% of the abortions now in Georgia are chemical abortions. 63 is the number that's nationwide, but in the state of Georgia, 83% of the abortions were performed using an abortion drug, while 16 were surgical, and that's in Georgia. And understand what the chemical abortion pill does. And again, I have to go back to my presentation a couple weeks ago. A lot of people didn't even understand the chemical abortion side of it. I mean, it's a two-pill process. The first one is mifepristone, and that stops the feeding of progesterone to the babe in the womb. It starves the baby. And then the second one taken is misoprostol, which causes cramping and bleeding, and basically it's a forced miscarriage.
Induced abortion.
It's an induced abortion. And, it's a two-pill process, and unfortunately, it is, like Brooke said, a DIY. It's you doing it yourself, and you can get it through telehealth, which is absolutely crazy.
Well, now, a couple of things on that. And I think this statement is attributed to Secretary Bobby Kennedy Jr., in particular the Biden-era policy of removing doctors, and apparently this happened last September, by allowing mail-order abortion drugs without in-person medical oversight must be delayed. This is Kennedy saying that. Women are endangered by taking the drugs without a sonogram to check for ectopic pregnancy and confirm the gestational age of the child. So apparently last September, the idea, you mentioned telehealth, that's why I want to mention this, has been removed. So now, am I wrong? Can anybody pretty much order these
Yeah.
pills?
Well, the FDA, when the abortion pill was first approved back in 2000, it was under a specific REMS strategy. So there was a lot more restrictions on the abortion pill then. But, over the years, those restrictions were taken away. It was actually during the COVID years that the Biden administration took away the in-person dispensing requirement.
Was it really? So now basically you can just order them online, and there you go.
Yes, and what's happening too is that so in New York, for example, there's an abortion doctor there who will mail abortion pills to women in pro-life states, but there's a shield law in the state of New York that will protect that abortionist from any type of criminal penalty for mailing abortion pills to women in pro-life states. So that's also another battle that we have to face as pro-lifers.
So there's no restrictions to mail them into Georgia, correct?
Correct. Yes, that is correct.
You mentioned the year 2000. Actually, this two-pill regimen was called RU-486, which was created in Europe, and in the last year of the Clinton administration, where Hillary was a Margaret Sanger Award winner, the FDA approved it. It was done I remember it very vividly. It was very quietly done.
Yeah.
So, but now there's another thing that comes around with, I looked at the Planned Parenthood website, and basically they say you can take the chemical abortion up to like 11 weeks.
Right, and the FDA's only approved the chemical abortion pills up to 10 weeks of pregnancy.
Yes.
That's a lot longer than 6 weeks, right? That's a whole nother month or so. And then the numbers float around, but I don't know how you can it's stated here that the Foundation for the Restoration of American Ethics and Public Policy Center shows 11% of the women that experience severe adverse events, hemorrhaging, infection, sepsis, from the abortion pill.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know how many abortion pills are out there, I guess you know how many come in to ERs that need care.
Yeah, and that data was from insurance claims that
Okay.
group found. Mm-hmm.
So it could be more than that.
Exactly.
I
that
mean,
could be
you
more.
really don't
I have
know.
no idea.
So it's kind of, I think it's an important point that at this point in the abortion discussion since '73, we really don't know anymore in terms of the numbers.
And then what about the black market that goes behind that? When people get it, and basically they're just going to spin it off to somebody else who they think is a sister or cousin or whatever, and say,
Yeah.
"You think you are?" All of a sudden you created this black market of the mifeprefix within the system.
Any other thoughts about this? I mean, it's a very important topic. I mean, it's really the core topic for the 2025, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did want to go back to what Duane said about the heartbeat bill, or, we sometimes call it a 6-week ban, and really the heartbeat bill is ineffective, and that's something we talk about a lot at Georgia Right to Life. That's why we advocate for other legislation like the Person Amendment and the Georgia Prenatal Equal Protection Act. But really what the heartbeat bill does is it says it prohibits abortions when there is a detectable heartbeat. Yet I always pose this question to people: who is detecting the heartbeat? Well, the abortionist, right, who is profiting off of that woman getting an abortion, killing her unborn child. So the law really has no teeth. It's not effective. And again, there's exceptions in there for rape and incest up to 20 weeks with a police report filed. Medical abnormality is also an exception in the bill. And we would just say, regardless of how a child is conceived, that child still has inherent value and worth and dignity, and we shouldn't have all these exceptions in our laws. And even back to the All of Life Summit, we heard from Pam Stencil, who actually was conceived in rape, yet her life has value, right, because she's made in the image of God. So just to reiterate that point, the heartbeat bill is not effective, and really pushing for more at Georgia Right to Life to abolish abortion in our state.
Well, then you also think about it. What we have become in society, God.
Yes.
Basically saying, well, that's a human being. We do believe it's a human being. We know it's a human being. So we've made that decision that because it doesn't have an extended time, that we can go ahead and murder that baby in the womb. So we've taken this God and putting it in society that we can make that decision.
So I would think the numbers from this segment show that the heartbeat bill has not been what's properly conceived, which has been a very strong pro-life piece of legislation.
Right, and I would just encourage any audience members who are listening to do your own research, dig into things. A lot of even conservative and pro-life groups will say the same thing you said, Steve, like the heartbeat bill is amazing, it's done so much, and we're grateful for any babies who have been saved under the heartbeat bill. We're just saying that there are some problems that we need to address.
Our guest this morning, Duane Hag, President of West Georgia Right to Life, Brooke Robyck, Project Coordinator at Georgia Right to Life. We'll be back with more after this.
Imagine a place where every heartbeat is monitored with the utmost care. where emergencies are met with swift attention, and where cutting-edge technology enables precise and timely treatments. At Tanner Health, every patient's journey is a testament to resilience, a story of strength, healing, and hope. We go beyond treatment to redefine what compassionate care truly means. That's Tanner Health. That's care redefined. Learn more at tanner.org.
Do the math. At Oak Mountain Academy, our average graduating class has just 12 students. We celebrate a 100% graduation rate with more than $10.5 million in college scholarships offered. Plus, 96% of our students are accepted into their top choice college. Do the math. Can you see the value of an OMA education? I'm Patrick Uran, head of school at Oak Mountain Academy, and I'm here to help you do the math. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us so that you can discover your journey on the mountain, where every path leads to purpose.
Welcome back to the Community Voice. Duane Hack, President of West Georgia Right to Life. Brooke Robyck, Project Coordinator at Georgia Right to Life. You know, basically, Duane was hitting on it, but if you don't have a sanctity of life ethic, then you have a quality of life ethic, which means that if someone's old and infirm, sick, or whatever, and not contributing to society, we can hasten their death. And apparently, that's becoming more prevalent under the Gold Dome with something called, before we get to physician-assisted suicide, we have medical aid in dying, MAID, which apparently allows the patient to proactively end their life.
Right, so medical aid in dying is really just a euphemism, Steve, for physician-assisted suicide, and that whole process, the physician would give a life-ending drug to the patient takes it themselves, and then that is how they pass away. But sadly, there was actually a study committee in Representative Sharon Cooper's Public Health Committee back on August 25th, where they were just exploring the idea of MAID, right? And again, it's a euphemism. It's physician-assisted suicide. It is prematurely ending an elderly or infirm person's life. And we see in the country of Canada how when they have implemented assisted suicide, how that has really just snowballed and spiraled into thousands of people every year committing suicide. That's really what it is. I mean, yes, with the physician's help, but it's wrong. It's denigrating the value of human life.
Yeah, Canada right now, in 2023, had 15,343 assisted living deaths. It's 4.7% of their deaths are assisted living versus in America, it was less than 1%.
And it's going to increase here.
Yeah, and there's more and more. Now they want to take it, Steve, to the next level, they call it, because of mental status.
Yeah.
So now they're talking about, it was going to be in 2024. They put it off till the end of 2026 to review it again. But now for any mental issues that you would have, you can go ahead and ask for this assisted
right, that would be the sole condition in Canada in 2027 if they go through with it, yes.
Correct.
So basically when you and I are in our 90s, and I mean, this is an issue that almost every family at some form or fashion will face.
Yeah, it included in the bill, it said would include also mental illnesses as a reason for accessing assisted living, or assisted death.
Well, that we're going to run out of time, but that brings us even more so back to the topic of personhood. And Brooke kind of touched on it, but emphasize that in the next just few seconds about how important that resolves the whole issue of life.
Right. Well, personhood is simply the right to have rights. It is the recognition and protection of all innocent human life from fertilization, the earliest biological beginning, to natural death. Right. So that includes stopping abortion, the murder of an innocent child in the womb, and standing against physician-assisted suicide and euthanasia at the end of life. Because someone's life might not be contributing as much to society as that person once was, that does not mean that we get to intentionally hasten their death. It's not compassionate, right? A lot of MAID or medical aid in dying groups, so-called medical aid in dying groups, are called compassion, or they use the word compassion, compassionate choices. It's not compassion. It's suicide.
All right, Mr. Hack, you got 60 seconds and no more. Tell us about Stand for Life.
60 seconds. Hey, come out and join us this Saturday, October the 11th, from 10 to 11 a.m. We provide the signs for you, or you can make your homemade signs. We've had several groups that have done that in the past. This Saturday, October the 11th, from 10 to 11, you can park down at the Walmart parking area and walk up that little hill in front of the gas station. We'll be forming a line there. You'll see all sorts of balloons. You'll see signs already up. Come join us. We try to stand about 4 to 5 feet up separate from each other. Basically, it's a time of prayer in memory of the 65 million that have been aborted since 73. Love to have you. Bring your youth group. Any church that brings a group of 10 or more, 12 years old and up, get $100 from West Georgia Right to Life. It's just our way of thanking you for being part of our Stand for Life.
And thank you most of all for listening. Go out and make it a great day. You're in tune to WLBA Carrollton.